This is Dr. Flight. I hope you're doing awesome. This is going to be a video that outlines the different promotional mix components. So when we look to do the fourth P promotion in the marketing mix of the four Ps, we actually have several different tools that we can use to deliver a message. And each of these tools has pros and cons associated with them. And so we're going to walk through what those might be today. So there are going to be 6 broad areas that you can sort of choose from, and some companies will use 1 or 2 of these exclusively. They'll use mixes or kind of combinations of them typically. Some will favor one over another just depending on what they want to accomplish in their approach to messaging. These are, again, it's like a toolbox of opportunities that you can use and you can think about when you want to deliver a message to your market segment or to an audience or a receiver of some type. Okay, so we'll walk through each one of these, whether it's advertising, public relations, sales promotion, personal selling, the direct marketing, and then finally digital and social marketing themselves. Each of these, again, are used to varying degrees. Some are used a lot, some are used just depending on how a company kind of views its kind of its messaging campaign. So let's talk a little bit about each one of these. So advertising, it's the most visible, common, I guess, form of communication. It's been around for a real long time, right? So since the early days, when you have a company who wants others to know about it, you might place an ad and have that ad communicate information about your, what you have to offer. These are paid forms of communication. Typically, we want to send a message out and we want it to reach lots and lots of people. So our cost per exposure using this medium or this channel type is the lowest because we're reaching lots and lots and lots of people all at once. So think about, you place a TV ad and you're reaching millions of potential audience members all at once with that one ad. So that tends to be one of the benefits, I guess. The other thing is you can control the message. So we create the ad, we pay for the ad time, and we distribute the ad, but we create the ad. We create the message, we create the images, we approve all of that. So we have a lot of control of the message. Now, because we have a lot of control over it and because we're paying for it, it's our message, sometimes our messages aren't believed quite as much out in the public. So some people don't trust a lot of advertisements they see, and that's one of the challenges. These ads are seen as biased and less credible. Different examples of advertising mediums. We have opportunities to advertise through electronic. So electronic and print are the traditional kind of forms of advertising. Electronic would be TV and radio primarily. And then print is traditionally newspaper and magazine. But we can also advertise in lots of other places. Billboards, signs, transportation, like in subways or on airplanes, in subway stations, in bus stations, airports, those types of things. Digital, interactive, we can advertise on websites, on search engines, on apps. Again, these are spots that we pay for that come up when people are in their everyday lives doing whatever they do. And so people see them in the context of their behavior, but it's a controlled paid ad that we've put out there for them. Other places might be movie theaters, restaurant menus, flying over the beach. You'll see an airplane with a banner advertising that way. So lots and lots and lots of different ways we can advertise. Places, mediums, they all have pros and cons to them. In fact, there's a whole other chapter that talks just about advertising for you to kind of think about. Okay. Second, another type of thing we can do is we can do what's called public relations. Public relations are efforts we make to control the image of the brand or a company, but they're not paid. We don't pay for a reporter to write an article about us. We don't pay for good publicity. We don't pay for bad publicity either. So this is non-paid media attention. These are out of order a little bit, but that's okay. This is considered it's considered more credible because the information is coming from a third party, or it's not coming from the source. So the sender, in other words, not controlling the message. Somebody else is creating a message that describes the sender. So this means that a third party is involved that might be viewed as more objective, and that could lead to greater credibility of the message itself. Firms themselves tend to have a very devised plan to control what people think about them. So you can have what's called a proactive or a reactive public relations plan, and you have a group of people who execute that plan to, again, create information that can then be used by third parties to talk about you. Again, this credibility issue, some consumers are becoming more skeptical of just marketing in general. They're certainly more skeptical, I'm going to spit that one out, about advertising. And so public relations is kind of the antithesis of that, the difference of that. As a result, PR has grown quite a bit. So there's still a cost associated with creating a public relations campaign, but you're not actually paying for the message to be delivered. And so that's an idea. Some companies view this as a less expensive way to get information out. So if you don't have an advertising budget, for instance, maybe you put more effort in public relations to get messages out. And it might be viewed as less expensive or less costly in terms of a way to do things. Different examples of some public relations activities: news or press releases, speeches, reporter interviews, community events or sponsored events, sponsorships in general. Those might be something that we do. Story placements is another thing that we do, where we create a story about the company and then we pitch it to different reporters. And reporters will they'll run a story, for instance, that we created, if it's a compelling story and if it's interesting. Okay, so PR then, that's another area that we have. Another third area, and these are in no particular order, is something called a sales promotion. Now, this is unlike any of the others because sales promotions, their goal is to drive awareness for the company and stimulate short-term sales. That's their goal. That's what promotions do. Promotions are always performed in conjunction or alongside other things like advertising or public relations. So in other words, we're going to do a promotion, but people need to know about it. So we have to run an ad that describes the promotion, and then that's how it's done. So this is a type of thing that's unlike anything else. These are promotions. So these are activities or events that we engage in. Promotions always, every single time, for it to be a promotion, you either have to increase or manage the value that you're giving away. So like giving away more product or something like that, or you're decreasing the price. So you're either giving more benefits to the customer as a result of the promotion, or you're lowering the cost that the customer has to pay. Promotions are always in this format. That's the way they are. So if it doesn't include one or two of those things, you can do both of them, but you have to do at least one of them or it's not a promotion. They can be aimed at both the customer directly, which would be a pull strategy, or they can be directed towards intermediaries as well. And if you did that, it would be called a push strategy. Okay, so we can stimulate demand with a promotion with our intermediaries or with their end users. Different examples, there are literally millions of types of things. You can give away product, you can do product sales, 20% off this item, 4th of July sale. You can do, again, these product offers where like buy one, get one frees. You can give away free samples. You can do things like that. Contests, sweepstakes, or staged events of some type. So we have an event that gathers a lot of excitement. You can do fireworks from your show, from your store, or some gimmick or some type of come on that gives people some value, or it lowers some costs. Okay, again, has to be done though with other communication tools. All right. Okay, so perfect. Another thing we'll do, personal selling. Personal selling, again, it's this one that an entire profession is there, entire courses in universities, entire certificates. You can study to be a salesperson and earn a ton of money doing it. Two-way communication, though, between a buyer and a seller. And your job is to persuade and inform. That's the goal that you have. You want to inform the customer, walk them through the decision-making process, answer questions, persuade them to buy your product, and then ultimately make the deal happen, make the sale take place. So it's a highly skilled and trained activity. Takes a lot of practice, a lot of patience to become really good at being a personal seller. This is one of the tools, though, that we use in terms of what we do in marketing. This is easily the most expensive way to communicate per exposure. Remember, advertising was the least expensive. This is by far the most expensive, personal selling. All right, okay, direct marketing. Two more left here. Direct marketing is a communication strategy where we send a message directly from the firm to the customer. Okay, so there's no other intermediary. We don't have, it's not like we're using a TV channel or a newspaper article or whatever. This is a direct communication from the firm to the customer. And we want to create some type of either interest or action. Typically, we want them to either get more information from us, or we want to deliver information to them so that they can buy our product. We can do direct sales, so we give information and the customer buys directly from us. One of the challenges with this is we need to be able to directly contact the customer. So, in other words, we need to have access to like email lists or mailing addresses or telephone numbers. We need to be able to contact them directly to get this information to them. So that's a big database issue. That's a big data problem. That's a database issue where we buy databases, we buy mailing lists, we buy information that will allow us to reach customers directly. So direct marketing is very different from that type of thing. One of our challenges is being able to contact people directly who are our customer base or who are our market segment of choice. We don't want to spend a lot of time and money and effort reaching people who aren't in our market segment, and that's one of the big challenges here. We can do this by telephone, catalog sales, email, mobile marketing. We could go door to door, knocking on doors if we wanted to do that. That would bleed into the personal selling concept that we just talked about. So direct marketing has been around for long time, and it's changed forms many times too. Telephone sales, of course, today are not very common, but they used to be. catalog sales, where you would send a catalog to a consumer directly, they would then buy from you directly. Now, online selling, like an online direct, pretty common, right? Much more common. So this is an evolved technology or technique that is super old, but it's been updated a lot to reflect the technologies that we have today. And speaking of those technologies, the last piece we'll talk about is this digital or social media kind of space. Anytime we want to use some type of a digital technology or a computer-based technology, then we can interact with an audience and our market segment, and that's what we do. And this again has evolved a little bit since the mid-1990s, since 1993 or 4 or so. In 94, the internet became available for people to see and view websites. And companies started to post information, and that's what the start was, where a website was static. It was like you looked at it. You didn't interact with it so much other than looking at it. It gave us information, and it was updated every once in a while. So that was the first kind of digital medium that we would use. That wasn't like a television. It wasn't radio. It wasn't like electronic like that, but it was primarily static. They evolved, though, to become a transactional element where you could look at things on the website and you could then transact on them. So e-commerce evolved in the really the later part of, probably by 96 or 97-ish, starting there. We probably had the elements of transactions taking place online and through the internet. Other things, though, that allow us to communicate include different content generating like opportunities like blogs and just creating media. So another idea here is that we can create information if we're a content expert. We can push that information out, people can follow us and they can read us, and we can be content generators. So companies can do that, and it's very effective for, again, delivering information. And if you go back to the ADA model, the building awareness piece and creating interest piece might be very, very effectively done through different content pieces that we create and we push out. And then finally, social media and interactive media. So when we start talking about social media, we start dealing with peer-to-peer networking. So you can provide information, you can do some transactions, right, on social media and on applications that tend to be socially related. But very importantly, we're allowing not just sender-receiver communication channels and feedback, but we're doing like receiver-to-receiver communication as well, or even sender-to-sender and all of these different arrangements. So peer-to-peer communications, and importantly, social networking is kind of like the glue. So people who are connected with each other are probably likely in the same market segment. So if we get into networks that are connected, we're oftentimes getting information in. That information is spreading organically in a network, and it's among people who are all in the same market segment. So that's kind of from a business perspective and a communication perspective, the way and reason why we might want to leverage social media, would include those types of things. There are a couple illustrations of some of this digital use. We have a Domino's example and also a Burger King example. And Domino's example is one where a person could join a reward program. So this is like a loyalty program for Domino's. And by doing so, they can capture each time they buy a pizza, whether it's Domino's or not. And every time that's captured, they receive points or rewards from Domino's towards a new pizza. And this is kind of an interesting idea because it reinforces the purchase of Domino's pizzas by loyal customers because they're getting product, but it also encourages new customers who are not Domino's customers to engage with them. So if you're not a Domino's customer, you can still use the app and get rewards, and then every once in a while turn them in. Now, is this just Domino's giving away free pizza? Well, sometimes it's a promotional thing where you give away a free product as a trial, and then that gets somebody to use, converted to you if you do a good job. So, there's a cost to acquiring a new customer. In this case, if you use the app but you're not a Domino's customer, the cost is they're going to give me a pizza, and the reward is that I might convert to them moving down the road. So that's an interesting use of an app, digital technology to integrate a loyalty program, but also achieve some customer-centric goals that they have. Okay, Burger King, here's a second example. Burger King has, and this is done by other companies too, they have opportunities where if you have the app or if you have, they have permission to access your location, then based on your location, they can provide you information about local or locations close to you, I guess, of Burger King, and they can push to you opportunities like coupons and dollars off and different promotional elements, right? Now, this is like a geolocation concept. That again, the technology of the digital technology of digital or mobile marketing helps accomplish. And so, interesting ways to kind of use this type of technology, and obviously these ways and these things are emerging all the time as we move forward. Okay, so this is going to be kind of like a generalization, but we're going to look at this, and one element that's not on here is direct marketing, but we can kind of direct marketing tends to focus the desire in the action stage. But looking before that, let's look at the attention stage, and we look at the elements that tend to do best providing information. So again, online websites, public relations, advertising, right? Those tend to be good mass focused, reaching lots of people with information that we want to provide to them. Once people are interested or know about us, we want to get them interested. So again, we can push these media again, we can advertise, do public relations and digital and website, those types of things early on. We're actually going to see digital and social across everything, right? So now once we have people interested, we need to get them motivated eventually to take some desire or some action, and we need to persuade. So creating a sales promotion is going to do both of these things, but also personal selling. At some point, we want to, like everybody got the message. A few people were interested. Some people want our product. Now we need to take those some people and we need to give them a little bit more focused attention. That's what this does. So personal selling helps do that specifically. Plus, with digital, we can customize. So customization is easier in the digital world. So we can customize maybe an appeal or a product or a promotion specifically to an individual customer. Okay, and then finally wrapping it up, action stage, right? So getting people to do, again, promotions build and create excitement and convert people to buy. That's their goal. That's what you want to have happen there. Personal selling does as well, and then also digital. So digital just works well across all of these stages. Promotions and selling help in the later part. Advertising, PR help in the early part. Direct marketing is a later stage type of a thing. So direct marketing, yeah, you might create excitement and interest for your product, but you want people to convert with those. Okay, so to wrap this up, let's see where we are here. Explain the key elements of each of these pieces. So advertising, PR, promotion, personal selling, We had direct advertising in there too, or direct marketing, and then digital and social media. So just understand what each one of these are. Kind of describe each one of them. Be able to write a little paragraph about what each one of these promotional mix things are. Also consider which ones work better during different stages of that hierarchical model ADA, and go from there. So if you have any questions, let me know. Again, this is just an overview of the different tools we have in the promotional mix. Thanks.